poor Javy Lopez getting thrown into this, and he's probably actually got a life, and you've been doing things today, so you're probably a little caught off guard with what we're talking about, I would bet, Javy.
I mean, a little bit. I'm sitting here at lacrosse practice, watching what's going on, watching my daughter and her team get her workout in, and all of a sudden there's this Shohei Ohtani interpreter situation going on, and $4.5 million. I mean, that's not exactly, a little golf course bet, $100 parlay or something. That's some big cheese.
So I wonder what's your first reaction to this? The Giants are now favored to win the West, or what?
I mean, are we betting? Is this a gambling thing? Going right into that? What are the odds? Are we plus 500 now? I don't know where we're going here.
It's a very good answer. It's a very good answer.
Between Blake Snell and this, the odds have changed.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants have made the right moves to at least be a part of the dance, and who knows what's going on with this LA story, but I'm sure there's going to be some more layers to this onion.
Well, speaking of layers to the onion, we started the show off today talking about just that with regard to Farhan Zaidi. Let me ask you this. How has your perception of him, or at least the job that he's doing, changed in the last 3 months?
I will tell you that I think he's made some shrewd moves. And again, he's not committed to long-term contracts, and really the upfront money might be a little bit of a shock, sticker shock to some extent. But, you're spending $400 million of committed cash, second only to the Dodgers, who spend $1.1 billion, minus 4.5. And, you gotta do those things. You do those things to try to keep up, because if you look at the NL West, let's be honest, you had the Diamondbacks in the World Series last year. The Padres aren't showing, at least for me, they aren't showing signs of going anywhere. They're still a quality club, even without Soto being in that lineup. And, the Dodgers are the Dodgers. So if you're going to play competitive baseball and get the fans back into the stadium and get them excited about some things, you had to make some moves. And you know what? Farhan, to his credit, did exactly that. And, I think that's part of the reason why you bring in Bomel, to be honest with you. I don't think you were going to bring in a veteran manager to work through a little bit of a rebuild or kind of go status quo. You needed to get a guy. He's coming in. He's like, I need certain assurances, and he got him. Granted, it weren't in the timeline that maybe the fans wanted it, and maybe some of the, you guys in the broadcast world as myself, like maybe it's not on our schedule, but it ultimately got to a resolution, and now the Giants are in a pretty good place to be going into next week.
Javi, talk about what a boost they can give this team. You're around them every day. You know these guys. They're living and dying with, we're going to sign this guy, we're not going to sign this guy, we got this guy, we don't have this guy. That's kind of been what's happened over the last couple of years. Now you got your guys. You got all of them. Maybe talk about how this affects a clubhouse by signing one guy like Blake Snell. And in your career, did you ever have an experience where one guy kind of lifted the mood of the whole squad when you got him?
Yeah, you know what, FP? It's funny that you bring that up, because I was kind of thinking back on that moment myself. Like, this feels like a move at the trade deadline. It's kind of what you feel like. They're taking pictures of him, and he's all happy and giggly in the dugout. And it's like, it's that one guy when they first show up during the middle of a ball game, and they just got off the plane. That's what had that vibe. It has that feel, and you hear it all the time. But it is a shot in the arm for me. If you're Logan Webb in particular, you went through 79 wins last year. You were at the bottom of run support in your starts. You had the most innings in the big leagues pitched, and it was just you and Alex Cobb, and then bullpen games. And you still won 79 games, so you had something going. But everyone wants a co-ace, and maybe three of them. And now the Giants have made that move, and I think Snell, it's just such a proven commodity. Yeah, he only throws 5 1/3 innings is what he averages, and people can hammer him about that all they want. The walk rate's up, but he strikes out 33% of the dudes he faces. I mean, let's be honest. That's I don't care what you're doing. I'll take a punch out anytime. And if that guy's going to do it and he's going to go to the post for me, that's what's going to matter. And he's coming in basically on a 1-year deal. It's another platform year for him. So you're expecting the best out of him, and I think the Giants are just in a great spot.
Javy Lopez with us on Willard and Dibs. FP's in for Dibs. Javy, here's my only concern, and I'll admit ahead of time that I'm splitting hairs. The Giants got some good players in the last 3 months, and that's what they needed, and that will build fan excitement. However, as reports are coming out, and Andy Baggerly wrote a great piece in The Athletic about this today, the motivation from the Giants was filling the stands. So is the roster actually intuitively constructed, or did they just decide this offseason, we got to huck everything everywhere to get the fans back?
Well, the hot take would be what you just said there. I think that you got to do what you can to put actual names in the lineup that you can recognize from the casual fan perspective. Giants fans are smart. They know what's going on. They're the reason why the attention has been paid to the off season the way it was. I mean, Bomel, if there's one thing that Bomel is, he's consistent. He's like Bochy in a sense, like he's going to run out the same lineup. You hit, you don't sit. That's kind of the saying, you know. FP could tell you that. You hit, you don't sit. And those guys are going to go. You hit a homer, guess who's in the lineup the next day? Those are the little things that Bomel will always do. And he's going to tell Soler, whether he's hitting 4 or he's hitting 5 or hitting 3, you're going to know that it's going to be Soler, Chapman. You know Lee's going to be leading off. You know these guys are going to be in the lineup. And that is what fans wanted. It's just some consistency after the last few years. To just get in there and know that when I'm going to go watch Logan Webb pitch, that I'm going to have the best third baseman or one of the best third basemen in the league every night right there behind him. I'm going to have an unbelievable second baseman in Tyro Estrada, and I'm going to have the pieces there, and I'm going to have a thumper in the middle of that lineup and Jorge Soler. And I think, you know, you can split hairs. Did they get more athletic? That's questionable. You know, but Lee is a guy that can go get it. He showed it today in the spring training game. He can go run some balls down. So you got some more speed in center field. That makes up for a little bit of that corner defense that you may not trust as much. And I think, you know, again, it's the usual line that you're always going to hear. It's all about staying healthy, and that is very true. But the Giants have positioned themselves in a very competitive NL West to make a push.
Yeah, and maybe more importantly, Javy, is that the players know that they're going to play, and the players know where they're going to hit in the lineup, and they know they're going to be in there every day, and there's going to be a routine, an established role, and a rhythm all of a sudden where you know you're getting 4 at-bats, and you know you're the closer, and you know you're the setup guy, and you're not going to be an opener, a feature guy, that you're going to have starting pitchers, and the hope is that they go deep into a game. I mean, talk about that for a little bit, that you as a player – knowing your role and how that makes you comfortable and you get the best out of your ability.
Yeah, it's exactly right, FP. The specifics in a bullpen, that is integral to a good bullpen. You have to know when you're going to pitch. You have to know what your role is going to be. It's just becomes second nature for you. Baseball players are routine-oriented, athletes in general, but baseball, it is every day you're doing this. So if you know that you're going to come in and face the prime of the order in the 7th inning, and that's your job, and you can limit that focus to that spot, that's a win. And I think, again, not knocking what the Giants have done, because they had a great bullpen last year, but I guarantee you these guys are kind of like, all right, sweet, so I know I can go down to the pen. I'm going to have these guys eat up a traditional. I mean, we're trying to get to 5-6 innings with these guys now. You know, we're not asking starters to go 8 innings anymore in this league, even 7. But if you can get to 5, and I know that I'm going to get the ball first, like the Rogers brothers, let's say Tyler gets it to get through the tough righties, and then Taylor gets it to get through the lefties to set up Camilo. Bada boom, bada bing. Like, you know what you're doing, and that is huge. And I think for the position player side, of course, you can speak to it better than I can, but being in great clubhouses that I was a part of, championship clubs, that's exactly what it was. Oh, okay, I'm leading off. Oh, I went 0 for 4. Guess what? I'm leading off the next day. Oh, I went 0 for 4. Guess what? I'm leading off the next day. Like, the consistency in a lineup is so vital for just the little attitudes, because if there's anybody that nitpicks their game, it's a baseball player. They're going to pick their game apart more than any reporter, any analyst will ever do. And when you know that the guy is going to pencil you in, win, lose, or draw, it is just a little shot in the arm to just know that, hey, he's going to stick with me, and I'm going to pay off. It's going to pay off, and oftentimes it does. It may not be that night, but it'll be during that week.
Javy Lopez with us here, 95.7 The Game. Hey, Javy, what does the presence of Blake Snell do specifically for Kyle Harrison?
Well, I would certainly hope between Snell and Robbie Ray that Kyle Harrison is sitting with a notebook all day long and a tape recorder, and like his iPhone shouldn't say tape recorder. That's how I'm aging myself a little bit. But got the iPhone out and hitting record, because that guy should just be absorbing this. 22 years old, and now you have those two guys. You got two donkeys that have won Cy Youngs. I mean, let's go. Are you kidding me? I'm just an occasional broadcaster, and I'm going to be in that locker room, and I'm going to ask some questions, because I'm excited to see what those guys are going to be teaching that kid, and I hope he eats it all up. I mean, to be honest with you, Blake Snell's been that guy. He's been that young player, came up with the Rays and came up and dominated, and who else to pick a brain other than that guy right there if you're Kyle Harrison? And I think that's just yet another beautiful piece that happened. Let's not discount Robbie Ray. The guy's one of the hardest workers I've ever seen. So, between those two, Harrison's got to be licking his chops every time he has a chance to pick their brains.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. I mean, it sounds a little stupid, I guess. It's March 20th, and we have no idea what journey these four teams are about to go on. I'm leaving the Rockies out. I'm doing it on purpose. But these other four teams, we have no idea who's going to be healthy, all of that stuff. But as we sit here with what we know, what do you think? How do they stack up?
Well, I've been wrestling with that all spring, because especially in this last week or whatever it's been, week and a half, when the Padres made the trade for Cease, then you're going into San Diego and you're facing Darvish, Musgrove, and Cease, and then you got Brito there as well as Michael King. Like, that's a pretty good starting rotation. Runs are going to be at a premium, and then you're like, oh boy, all right, how do we match up? And then LA, you got Yamamoto and Glasnow, and you got Walker Buehler, and then Kershaw, of course, has always been a giant killer. He'll eventually come back. And then Arizona showed it off last year with Gallen Kelly. They signed Eduardo Rodriguez. So the league itself, the division, went ahead and said, hey, we're going to limit the ability for runs to be scored. Not even worry about the defensive side. We're going to do just pitching. We're going to go pitching-centric. We're going to go starting pitching focused, and then come and get it. And the Giants, at the time, had a hurt Alex Cobb and a hurt Robbie Ray. Now you've got Logan Webb, you've got Snell, you've got Cobb now hurrying back a little bit, and you have Harrison, and you went and got Jordan Hicks, who looked great today, and he's the X factor for me. Like, what are you going to get out of the guy? Well, you've built the depth now where you can go toe to toe in any divisional game and know that you have a fantastic job of winning, not only winning that night, but winning the series.
Javy, I was watching the broadcast the other night, and Kipe, in only the way Kipe can do it, there was Dave Righetti on the bench, and I think it may be Bomel next to him. And Kipe just said very calmly, both Giants. And, when you're thinking about it, and you're the person to ask, I mean, you've won championships here. You've won a number of championships. Like, what does it mean to you as a guy that has done it all for the San Francisco Giants? Not to knock the last regime, because those guys worked hard. They did the best they could. It just didn't work out. But what does it mean to you to have coaches that played for the Giants and know what it means to wear the orange and black?
Well, it's. I think it's going to pay itself off here. Not only in spring training. I was only down there for a few days, so I didn't get a tremendous pulse of what's going on. But I know walking around in that clubhouse, the refreshing side was just a lot of baseball talk was back. And a lot of, a little less of
Instagram cheeseburgers.
Well, I mean that was, yes, that is probably, it was not getting graded on a 40-80 scale, but it's one of those things for the Giants. It was just nice to have those guys back and be able to talk shop, and I think that's ultimately where some of the best conversations come from. Analytics is absolutely fantastic, and it's part of it. I mean, if you're going to load up on numbers and do all the things that you need to do. You need to be able to also have those conversations. For me, one of the best organizations to do it right now is the Baltimore Orioles. They cleaned house, and they went with the analytics side and guys that could sell it and had veteran pieces do it. The Giants are back on that mode again. I mean, Matt Williams, he's a former skipper. The guy knows numbers better than anybody. Dave Righetti has it all in his brain. He's not even a paper guy. Like, he has it in his head. You want these guys around you. And the biggest thing for me is that they've all played. They all understand the pressures of the game and how hard it is day in and day out. And to keep them steady and have that kind of rapport with these players is going to pay off. Like I said, it may not be in April, but as long as it happens, it's going to pay off for all these guys. And I think that's what I really appreciate with those guys coming back around, is that you just get more into baseball conversations again.
Javi, great to have you, man. When's lacrosse practice over?
I got about 45 minutes here.
Okay. All right. Go get yourself an evening coffee or something, and best of luck.
Guys, I appreciate you having me, and anytime.